Hu-Milley-Ation. Gotta love that one.
We take an oath to a document, an oath to the Constitution of the United States, and not one time do we violate that. The entire time, from time of commissioning to today, I can say with certainty that every one of us maintained our oath of allegiance to that document, the Constitution, everything that's contained within it. And we also maintained the tradition of an apolitical military. We did that then, we do that now, and we will do that forever.
I've known the chairman for a long time. We've fought together. We've served a couple of times in the same unit, so I'm not guessing at his character. He doesn't have a political bone in his body.
America's top general, just 2 days after the January 6th Capitol insurrection, so worried about the then president's angry and erratic behavior, he called a secret meeting with top deputies, including the chain of command for the country's nuclear arsenal. General Mark Milley's message at that meeting: no one was to act on any orders for military strikes, even from the president, unless Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, was personally involved in the sign-off as called for by Pentagon protocols.
According to Bob Woodward's book, General Mark Milley, on January 8th, when Donald Trump was still in office, called a meeting with his staff and told them not to take any commands from the commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, in regards to nuclear weaponry. He also warned China.
I think there's just no excuse for a silent coup, which I think that's what that is.
You know, the whole time that Trump was president, I was home saying, please, God, make there be an adult who controls this lunatic. I know, I was praying.
Well, speaking in tongues and having Jesus speak
like
to
I
him.
said before,
I don't know if I want that.
It's one thing to talk to Jesus. It's another thing when Jesus talks to you.
Exactly.
Okay, well,
That's different.
that's called mental illness, if I'm not correct.
But I'm
hearing voices.
What do you think about Joy Behar mocking the vice president for his Christian faith?
I was praying.
They preach day in and day out about tolerance and love for everyone except conservative Christians. And then they can mock you and it's funny and you're something that they can use for their jokes around the table and they can all cackle about it. It's really disgusting, not surprising, but disgusting.
If you want Joy Behar to be quiet, just say that maybe someone is speaking to Allah and Allah talks back. She would not be mocking that.
Obviously, he was nuts. We've seen it for 4 years. We saw the crazy behavior. And God bless General Milley for straightening things out. I know that the chain of command is sacrosanct. I understand that. But this was an emergency. This guy, we had a certifiable nutcase in the White House.
You have two so-called journalists who sat on this for 2 or 3 months. A news story. They're journalists. I'm not. Why would they do something like that? You know why, Sean? This is what Woodward does. They drop this before the Sunday before his books are released, so he and Costa, two so-called reporters, can make millions of dollars off this book. And what does this book do? It's certainly in the front end. It attempts to trash President Trump.
For 4 years, and they did not do it. How can you trust these people?
But Joy,
to do
imagine
the
right
right
now,
thing?
some people, I do not agree with this, think that President Biden is dealing with some senility. Imagine now if you handed that power over and said, well, Trump did it, and they went to China and checked. Now, people that disagree with you will say,
it's not about that. I can believe my eyes. I see what's going on. Biden doesn't have senility.
No,
Trump
but what I'm
was
saying,
crazy, and you know it.
There are some people like you that believe the opposite of Biden. So what I'm saying is you have to be okay with the issue on both sides of the pendulum.
What? And then after the election, he calls and he says, quote, General Lee, you and I have known each other for now 5 years. If we're going to attack, I'm going to call you ahead of time. It's not going to be a surprise. If the United States military, just theoretically, is going to attack China, the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff knows every step of it, he's going to tell the enemy?
And God bless General Milley for straightening things out.
What else does he do? He basically, according to this article, if it's true, he tells his subordinate officers basically to take an oath of loyalty to him. To him. What else does he do? He conspires with the head of the CIA who's worried about a right-wing coup. All this talk about right-wing coups. Russia collusion, criminal investigations of a sitting president, 2 impeachments, one of a sitting president, one of the ex-president when he's left office, going after tax returns, trying to destroy. We know what a coup looks like. We sat through it for the last 5 years. And what else? The head of the Joint Chiefs is collaborating with the head of the opposition party, Pelosi and Schumer. So he's collaborated, according to this story, with the communist Chinese military, with the head of the Democrats in the House, with the head of the Democrats in the Senate. He's got subordinate generals and others who he, according to this story, gets allegiances from them. And the 2 reporters on the story sit on this for months and months and months so they can make a buck on a book. Wouldn't it have been good to know about Milley before what happened in Afghanistan so his ass could have been kicked out of office? So we could get a general in there, like a George S. Patton type, who wouldn't leave American citizens in enemy territory, who wouldn't leave patriotic Afghans in enemy territory, who are being hunted down and killed as I speak, with $85 billion of our equipment. General Milley, probably the worst general we've ever had, if this story is true.
But let's think about this for just a minute. This man is the chairman of the Joint Chief of the military, meaning Milley had the intel of all the branches of the military at his disposal. He had the Army, he had the Navy, he had the Air Force, he had the Marines, and he had the Space Force, all at his fingertips, providing Milley with intel and assessments on the ground in Afghanistan. So you mean to tell us, General, that you had no clue about what was taking place right under your nose? Look at this map, folks. We've been showing you this map many times, but look at it one more time. Look at the animation. It shows the timeline of the Taliban taking over Afghanistan, and it starts as recently as April. So April, May, June, July. Even a layman can see that the Taliban was rapidly closing in on Kabul. How dare Milley say he had no idea the Taliban would take Kabul so fast? He lied, and Americans died. And now, thanks to a couple of Washington Post reporters, we find out that General Milley has also done the unthinkable.
And if the story is false, my God, General Milley, you're going to own the Washington Post. Why don't you come out and tell the American people everything? And America, boycott these 2 journalists, boycott their book. They shouldn't make millions of dollars sitting on a story, if true, that we the people had a right to know, that the military had a right to know before Afghanistan. A pock on all their houses. And let's be clear, yes, they were, all of them, after President Donald Trump. It's the most disgusting thing I've seen in my life. From the intelligence agencies to the Defense Department, to the FBI, to the Democrats, to the media. How sickening. You want to see a coup? There were your attempted coups.
Just remember this. Bob Woodward is a liar. He has been doing that for a long, long time. That's why we're never going to really be able to substantiate what's in this book. He did it in All the President's Men. That whole thing about deep throat and signaling deep throat with the flag and getting a signal on the Metro page and the New York Times. It was just all nonsense, all made up. The garage meetings with Hal Holbrook in the movie, Deep Throat himself. Again, fiction. I know it's fiction. I've been there. This guy made it up. He had no idea that decades later, journalism students would still be reading the book. It was a cheap trick to make money on a book. They had no idea it would have such legs.
Somebody's gonna hurt someone before the night is through. Somebody's gonna come undone. There's nothing we can do. Everybody wants to touch somebody. If it takes so